Hello guys, welcome to the video. So there is a last feature I want to do in this section, and as of now we're good with the build system. Now I want to show player the attack radius of a tower, because as of now we have no way of knowing if tower will reach the enemies while it is active. The functionality for this is quite simple, but it may be difficult to understand at some point. I'll try my best to explain. Now let's begin. Let's go to script folder. Let's go to tower folder, and over here I want to make a new script, tower attack radius display, just like that. Let's open this script and let's do close all but this. Wait a second, I'm gonna save this one and we're gonna do close all other tabs. Okay, nice. Now how it's going to work. If you remember, we used a line renderer on a crossbow tower. Where is it? Asset, prefab, tower crossbow. And here we have attack visuals. Here it is. We have line renderer that we're using to show direction of the attack of a crossbow. And this was very easy to set up because it has only 2 points. Unfortunately, Unity does not have any functionality to make a circle straight away. So we're gonna have to use line renderer to make a radius around the tower. How it's going to work? As you can see here, we have 2 points only, right? 1 and 2. What we need to do next is to make a line renderer with 50 points. And then we're gonna make it so we place each point one after another, and it's gonna make circle as a result. So we're gonna have like 50 points, right? And we're gonna just place them like this to make a circle. But it's gonna be not 6 or 7, it's gonna be 50. Let's go to script. Our tower attack radius display. You can see I have an extra Y there. Now, as I said, for this one, we're going to use line renderer. And since this script must have line renderer, I want to show you something new. We're going to type here require component type of line renderer. This will add 2 new functionalities to the script. First one, if you add this script to any game object, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to make new empty object. Tower attack radius display. And if you put the script on, you're gonna see that line renderer component was added automatically. And also, because we have this require component type of line renderer, we now cannot remove this component from game object, right? This is very useful in many cases, so it's good to know about this one. Now let's go back and let's make a couple of variables. First of all, we want to have access to line renderer. And then let's open awake and do line renderer equals to get component of a line renderer. Then we need private int segments. And I know that the value we should use is 51. If you want, you can make it public and try to increase or reduce the number to see what it does. But basically it's amount of dots we're going to use to create a circle. And then simply we need, 1 second, we need serialized field, private float, circle radius. Or maybe let's just use radius, why not? Radius. Okay, very good. Now let's make a method that will draw a circle. We need private void create circle. Inside of this method, we want to have a center point, and I offer you to use vector 3 as center that we will get from a transform position. We also need an angle, and at the start, angle is going to be 0. Angle equals to 0. Then let's make for loop for amount of segments. And now the fun part starts. So maybe let's type it all together and then I'm going to explain it, okay? We need float x equals to mathf dot sine, and in the parentheses we're going to type math f degree to radians, and then we're going to multiply it by angle, then we're going to multiply it by radius, like that. Then we need to do same for the z. Let's do float z equals to math f, and here we need cosine, and we're going to do same and multiply it by radius, like that. After that, we're going to take line renderer, set position, and we're going to give it I as an index, and as a position we're going to use new vector 3, then we're going to use x plus center x, then center y, and then z plus center z, like that. And then we want to take angle and do plus equals 360f divided by segments. And that's it. This will draw a circle. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about this method a little bit. We want to understand it as much as we can. So at the start, we set in initial angle at 0, and we take object's current position as a center. Then we loop through a number of segments we defined to create the circle. For each segment, we calculate the x and z coordinates using sine and cosine, and we do that based on current angle. And these points are basically placed around the center to form a circle. Then we use line renderer to connect these dots, because line renderer needs a coordinates to place each dot. So this basically creates the circle. And after that, we increase angle by making it plus equals 360 divided by segments. So each new point is increased and placed accordingly until we create the full circle. Now let me explain what is this over here. I guess we talked about this before, but I'll just explain once more. Usually, angles can be measured in two ways, degrees and radians. Unity uses radians for many calculations, but we humans usually use degrees. And this basically helps us to convert degrees to radians. So when we multiply angle by degrees, because we use this one, it gives us radians. And simply to say, it helps translate angles which we understand into a form that Unity can understand and use. And mathf.sine and mathf.cosine just helps us to calculate positions along the circle. Basically, it's just a math function that takes an angle as an input and then returns corresponding position on the circle based on the angle. By using this, we can place objects evenly around the center of the circle, which is exactly what we need to do to draw a circle, right? Now, before we go further, I want to say something important. If you understand this method, that is very cool. But if you don't understand this method, please don't worry about it too much, because this one is more about math rather than about programming. And math is not easy for everyone, including me, by the way. I'm not good at math. I get this method right now, but if you give this to me after a week or something like that, I'll be completely lost and I'll have to search it up. So the point is that you don't need to have all the math down perfectly, and as long as you understand what code does in general, it's okay to move forward. You can always revisit it later, you can always try to dive deeper, but as of now, consider this one as a tool that you need to use. You need to create a circle, and you take a tool and you make a circle, and you don't care how it works inside, because your main goal is to make a video game. And just think about it this way. When you play in a game, you just play the game and you think how fun it is. You never really care what is inside, how does it work, and specifically, you don't care how well developer understands math inside of that game, right? Right. Okay, let's move forward now. All right, so now we know what it does. We just need to do a couple of more steps. We want to take line renderer, and we want to do position count equals to segments, so it has same amount of segments as we have in this variable over here. And then we want to take the line renderer and do use world space equals to true. After that, we can open update, and in the update, we can do create circle. Now let's go back to Unity and let's see this in the action. Then over here, let's collapse this. Let's put tower attack radius above. Then we can open this. Let's reset transform over here. Then let's focus on the object, and we can go out of a 2D view to see what it does. Let's just place it here a little bit up, and let's go to play mode. And it does nothing because radius is 0, but we can set it to 4. And ta-da, we have almost perfect circle. There are a couple of things we need to fix, but first let's close the circle because this is wrong. Let's go to the script. And over here, what we need to do is to take last point of a line renderer and place it at the position that first point has. So we're gonna go over here under for loop, we're gonna do line renderer dot set position of segments, which is just number 51 at the moment. And we're gonna do line renderer dot get position of a 0 element to get position of that. So we basically taking last element and placing it at the position of the first element. And this allows us to close the circle. And having number 51 actually looks weird. So instead I'm gonna do 50 over here. And then over here I'm gonna do +1. And I'm gonna write a comment, something like, we add extra point so we can close the circle. Okay, this is what we need. Let's go back to Unity and let's see this again. Let me just set radius to 2.5 from the start, and we're gonna go to play mode. And now a circle is going to be closed, but it's gonna look like it's not actually. And it only looks like it's not, really. It depends on how you look at this circle. If you rotate camera and see it from here, then it feels like it's closed. If you go closer and look at the circle from here, it's going to be closed as well. So that is just a rendering problem. But for us, it's not going to be an issue because we're going to do something here. First of all, we want to reduce the size of the circle. This is too big. So let's go over here and let's do 0.1. Over here, 0.1. Okay, this is better. And let's go to materials and let's make new material for this circle. I'm gonna do, actually I want to duplicate maybe a yellow material. Let's rename this to attack radius material, just like that. And then we're gonna go to that circle and assign this material into line renderer over here. Okay, now let's go to play mode. Now we can see it looks thinner and also it is lighted up, so it looks much better, and that gap is not visible at all. We can just simply ignore it. Now I think from the close view it looks kind of big, but from the far it looks good enough, so maybe I'll keep it as it is right now. And we can easily increase or decrease radius, right? Very good. Now we do this in the update, and that is quite heavy. We should do this only once. So let's make a method that would set up circle every time we need it, and then it would switch off circle if we don't need it. Let's remove the update. And let's make, I'm gonna do it here. Public void show attack radius. We're gonna do bool show radius, then we need float new radius, and also we want to have center position maybe. Do you think we need it? I guess there are two options. We could change position of the game object, or we could just pass vector3 into this method. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna do vector3 new center. Then inside of this method we're gonna do this line renderer enable equals to show radius. If it is false, we're gonna just disable line renderer. Then if show radius is equals to false, we're gonna return because we don't have a reason to do anything else, and we don't want to, you know, just do extra calculations for no reason. But if it's not false, we're gonna do transform position equals to new center, and also we want to just do radius equals to new radius, and then we can do create circle. And then we can just call method create circle. Now we're gonna have one game object of this type in the game, And we can go to UI build button, and over here we're gonna make a private variable of a tower attack radius display, and we're gonna do tower attack radius display name, why not? Then in the awake we want to get it equals to find first object by type of tower attack radius display. Let's type true over here. It's not like that, it is include, right? Find objects inactive dot include, like that. And on the tower attack radius over here, actually in the awake, let's do line renderer enabled false. So it will not show us, sorry, it should be equals to false. So it will not show us line renderer for no reason. It will show it to us only when we need it. And then back on UI build button, we're gonna make iPointer enter handler, and we need iPointer exit handler. We're gonna do implement interface, implement again. Then we gonna call method over here when we enter the button with the mouse. But for that we need to know radius, so we can pass something into that method of a tower attack radius display. And we don't have any radius yet. Tower supposed to have a radius. Let's go to the tower script. It has attack range. We can make a float method, public float get attack radius. It's going to give us attack range. Then we can go back to build button. We can make some sort of a variable. Let's do header tower details, and I'm going to do serialize field, private float, tower attack radius, and I'm doing it this way so I just can debug the value. I can see if it works. Let's make it equals to 3 by default. And then in the awake, I'm going to do if my tower, what was that? Tower to build. If tower to build is not equals to null, then I'm going to do tower attack radius is equals to tower to build, get component of a tower, get attack radius, just like that. So if we have tower assigned, we're going to get component from that tower, and we're going to get attack radius from the tower, and we're going to give that value to attack radius over here. Now we can go to interface all the way down, and over here we can do tower attack display, show attack radius true, tower attack radius, and as a center we actually need a slot we're going to use for building. And this is a local variable over here, so we cannot get it from there, and I guess we could just do it like so. We can just do it like so. Slot to use, get build position, and we're gonna pass 0.5f by default. Okay, this is supposed to work. As for exit, we could just pass false. So we're gonna move it here. We're gonna pass false. And as for this, doesn't really matter what we pass here. So I can pass vector3.0. Okay, let's save it. Let's go back. Let's go to play mode. I'm gonna select slot. I'm gonna select tower, and I can see attack radius of the tower. Very nice feature that allows me to visualize how tower is going to function. Now, there are a couple of things I want to discuss here. It is kinda annoying to select slot, then see the tower's radius here or here. And if you want to check different else, you have to do this action many times. But if we would use an opposite system, for example, if we would do it in a way that you select tower, then you find a place for it, and you can just, you know, find a place for it and see the radius, we could do it that way, but then it would introduce another problem. if you want to see how different towers would feel on the same slot, you would have to select tower, try it on the slot, select tower, try it on the slot, select tower, try. You see what I mean here? So it's really does not make any difference in that matter, but it allows us to have this system where you can play with tiles, and I really love it. So I'm gonna keep it as it is, and let's just go ahead and change radius on different buttons. Let's say this one will be 5, this one let's say will be 4, and this one let's say is 1.5, and crossbow let's do 2.5. Okay, now let's see what we have. We can cycle between different towers and see attack radius. Perfect, I love it. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for paying attention, and I'll see you in the next one.